Captain Elias Kane stood on the bridge of his starship, the Orion Vanguard, watching the swirling chaos below. Erindor had always been known as a beautiful planet, covered in vibrant forests and shimmering lakes, but now it was a world on the edge of destruction. A massive energy storm, born from the collapse of its nearby star, raged across the surface, tearing at cities and flattening forests. Alarms blared, lights flickered, and the hum of the ship's engines grew louder as the captain calculated his options. Elias had faced danger before, but this was unlike anything he had encountered. The planet's magnetic field was destabilizing, and unless someone acted quickly, millions of lives would be lost. He ran simulations on the main console, fingers moving with practiced speed. The planet's energy storm was not natural. It was accelerating at a rate that no standard planetary shield could contain. Something had to be done, and only immediate, precise action could save Erindor. He knew the planet was inhabited. Scanning the surface revealed scattered populations of Erindorians, humanoid beings with emerald green skin that glowed faintly in the dark, and eyes that shimmered like liquid silver. Legends described them as gentle and intelligent, masters of energy manipulation and environmental harmony. They had advanced technology, but the energy storm was too powerful even for them. Elias felt a mix of determination and responsibility. Humans had faced threats before, but he had never had to save an entire world. The ship descended into the upper atmosphere, its shields glowing as they cut through the turbulent winds. Below, cities that had once sparkled like jewels were being ravaged by lightning strikes and collapsing towers. Forests, normally calm and serene, were ablaze with fire sparked by the storm. From the bridge, Elias could see tiny figures moving desperately, attempting to escape collapsing structures. His heart pounded. Every decision mattered. Bays. He opened a communication channel to the planet's council, a holographic display flickering into existence before him. 3 Erindorian elders appeared, their faces marked by worry and exhaustion. "Captain Kane," said one, her voice trembling, "we did not believe salvation could come from your species. The storm, it is unstoppable." "I don't believe in unstoppable," Elias said firmly. "Tell me where your energy core is, the source that powers your planetary shields. If I can stabilize it, I can contain the storm." The council shared the coordinates of a massive facility located near the planet's equator. It was heavily damaged, but the core was intact. Elias knew he had little time. The storm's energy spikes were growing more frequent. If he delayed, the planet would be destroyed before he could act. He donned his flight suit and prepared for descent, while the Orion Vanguard hovered above, shields ready to absorb the worst of the storm's fury. The descent was perilous. Lightning danced around the ship, and winds buffeted it from every side. Elias gritted his teeth, gripping the controls with steady hands. He maneuvered the craft closer to the planetary surface, dodging debris and bursts of raw energy. As the ship neared the core facility, he saw figures moving toward it, 2 young Erindorians, carrying tools and devices that glowed faintly. Their expressions were determined, unafraid of the chaos around them. Elias landed the ship near the facility and rushed outside. The storm's energy was palpable, making his hair stand on end and causing sparks to leap from his suit. He called out to the 2 young engineers. "You there!" "Step back," he shouted. "It's too dangerous." The 2 froze, then approached cautiously. One had long silver hair that shimmered like the storm, and the other's eyes glowed brighter than the surrounding chaos. "We must stabilize the core," the first said, her voice calm but urgent. "If we fail, everything dies." "I can help," Elias said. "Step aside and let me assist. Together, we have a better chance." For a tense moment, they studied him. Then, in silent agreement, they nodded. Their names were Lyra and Vela. Lyra was precise, analytical, and careful, while Vela was bold, intuitive, and quick to act. They had spent years studying the planet's energy systems, but even their expertise could not overcome the storm alone. Elias knew he needed both their knowledge and his human ingenuity to succeed. The trio rushed toward the facility. The storm's energy cracked the air around them, sending small arcs of electricity dancing across the ground. Trees bent and broke like paper, and fragments of debris flew past them. Elias used his suit's energy shields to protect them as they entered the core chamber. Inside, the room hummed with unstable energy. The core itself was a massive crystalline structure pulsing with blue and green light, cracking under the strain of the storm. "Connect your devices here," Lyra instructed, pointing to the control panel. "We can distribute the overload, but we need precise timing." Elias studied the system. It was unlike anything he had seen before, but he quickly understood the principle. The core's energy needed to be diffused evenly across multiple channels. He began recalibrating the ship's auxiliary energy converters to act as stabilizers. Sparks flew as Lyra and Vela worked their controls, fingers moving swiftly across touch-sensitive panels. The room shook violently. Vela's hair lifted from static electricity, and the floor trembled beneath them. Elias shouted over the noise, "We need to synchronize now. On my mark. 3, 2, 1 mark!" They activated the stabilizers simultaneously. A bright light filled the chamber as energy flowed smoothly into the converters. The storm outside began to falter, its lightning strikes slowing, its winds dying down. Elias exhaled a breath he didn't realize he had been holding. Outside, the planet's surface shimmered with renewed stability. The forests stopped burning, the cities stood unharmed, and the energy storm dissipated like a receding tide. Lyra and Vela looked at Elias with awe. He had saved not just their lives, but the entire planet. The trio emerged from the facility exhausted but triumphant. The Arendorian Council met them, relief and gratitude shining in their eyes.
"You have saved our world," one elder said. "According to our law, anyone who saves the planet must be honored."
"You, Captain Kane, have fulfilled the highest duty. 2 among us will serve you, assisting you as you see fit, learning from you, and aiding in your missions." "This is not merely gratitude. It is our law, and it binds us until the debt is fulfilled." Elias blinked. Serve him? The concept was strange, but he understood the honor behind it. This was not slavery or coercion. It was a legal and cultural recognition of his heroism. He felt a sense of responsibility heavier than ever before. These 2 young engineers, Lyra and Vela, were now companions on his journey, bound by law but free in spirit. Lyra stepped forward. "Captain Kane, we will assist you. Your knowledge and experience can guide us in ways we could not imagine." Vela grinned. "And maybe you'll learn a few things from us, too." "Don't underestimate Arendorian skill." Elias smiled. "Then let's make sure your planet never faces such danger again." Together, as they boarded the Orion Vanguard, the stars stretching endlessly before them, Elias felt a new kind of purpose. Saving Arendor was only the beginning. Ahead lay uncharted space, unknown civilizations, and threats that required courage, intelligence, and unity. He had not only preserved a world, but had forged a bond with beings whose abilities could rival any humans. The ship lifted off, leaving Arendor behind, its surface calm and alive once more. Lyra and Vela moved through the ship, curious and eager to learn. Elias guided them, showing how human technology functioned in practical ways, how decisions were made in split seconds, and how courage often meant risking everything. The first lessons were small: engineering protocols, navigation strategies. But the potential for adventure was limitless. Even in the vast emptiness of space, danger lingered. Pirates, rogue asteroids, cosmic storms, and unknown civilizations awaited. But for now, the storm was over, and a new journey had begun. Elias, Lyra, and Vela were bound not just by law, but by respect, trust, and a shared desire to explore and protect the galaxy. Elias looked at the two young Arendorians, their expressions a mix of excitement and determination. He realized that this was more than a mission. This was the beginning of a partnership that could change the course of many worlds. And somewhere deep in his heart, he felt the first flicker of pride, not just for saving a planet, but for the promise of the adventures that awaited them all. The Orion Vanguard jumped into hyperspace, leaving the remnants of the storm behind, carrying its new crew toward unknown stars, challenges, and triumphs. Elias had saved a world, but he knew that in the galaxy, every victory was only the start of another story. And with Lyra and Vela by his side, he felt ready to face whatever came next. The Orion Vanguard sailed through the quiet of space, its engines a steady hum that filled the ship's corridors. Captain Elias Kane sat in the command chair, eyes scanning the stars for anything unusual, though the calm of this moment was almost deceptive. Beside him, Lyra adjusted a series of holographic panels, her fingers gliding over the controls with precision. Vela was in the navigation room, leaning over charts and maps with a mischievous grin. "This system ahead," Vela said, pointing to a cluster of small planets, "has mining operations on one of the moons. Sensors indicate instability in the orbit of the moon closest to the asteroid belt. Could be trouble for the miners." Elias leaned forward, studying the readings. "We can't ignore it. Even a minor collision could wipe out thousands." "Lyra, what's your assessment?" Lyra's silver eyes scanned the data. "The orbital mechanics are unstable. If left unchecked, the moon will drift toward the belt in less than 30 hours. There is a chance of gravitational interference from other moons, which could either stabilize or worsen the drift. Calculating exact outcomes requires rapid intervention." "Then we have no time to waste. Prepare a landing party. We'll need to stabilize the moon's orbit and make sure the miners are safe." The landing party was formed quickly. Elias, Lyra, and Vela suited up, their uniforms designed to resist both extreme cold and radiation. As they approached the moon in the shuttle, Elias could see the mining colony nestled in the craters, small lights twinkling despite the moon's barren landscape. A low rumble shook the surface. Gravitational stress was already affecting the colony. Once they landed, Elias led the group toward the control center of the mining operation. Miners, covered in dust and fatigue, stopped what they were doing and stared at the newcomers. Lyra quickly interfaced with the moon's stabilization controls, while Vela surveyed the surrounding terrain, noting cracks forming along the ridges of craters. Elias assessed the situation. "The graviton stabilizers here are outdated." "They can help, but not without additional power."
Lyra, can you reroute energy from the colony's main reactor?
"Yes," Lyra said, her fingers flying over the holographic interface. "But it will take coordination."
"We must balance the energy load carefully, or the reactor could overload." Vela's eyes gleamed with determination. "Then let's do it. I can manage the energy dispersal across the stabilizers." Elias nodded. "We have one chance. Let's make it count." They worked as a team. Lyra calculated the precise energy flow needed to stabilize the moon's orbit. Vela redirected the energy with uncanny intuition, and Elias coordinated the overall operation, improvising where necessary. Time seemed to stretch as the moon quivered beneath them. Dust swirled in the low gravity. Small tremors rattled the buildings, and miners looked on in anxious silence. Suddenly, a sharp tremor shook the ground violently. A fissure opened near one of the stabilizer arrays, threatening to sever a key energy conduit. Vela reacted instantly, leaping across the fissure to secure the connection, her hands glowing faintly as she manipulated the energy field to keep the conduit intact. "Nice work," Elias said, impressed.
That could have gone very wrong. Lyra's hands didn't stop moving. Almost there, just a few more adjustments to balance the gravitational forces.
She had a methodical precision that reminded him of a master chess player. Every movement had a purpose. Every calculation accounted for variables he might have overlooked. In contrast, Vela's style was more instinctive, relying on intuition and quick reactions. Together, they complemented each other, and him, perfectly. Finally, the moon's trembling lessened. The fissures stopped widening, the ground ceased shifting, and the minor structures held firm. Sensors confirmed the moon's orbit was now stable. A cheer erupted from the colony as they realized the danger had passed.
You two make a great team, Elias said, clapping Vela on the shoulder and nodding at Lyra. Humans may be clever, but you've got skills that surpass anything I've seen.
We've always believed in cooperation. Intelligence alone is not enough without coordination. Vela grinned, and a bit of bold action doesn't hurt either. As the team prepared to leave the moon, an alert flashed on the ship's console. Sensors had picked up unusual movement in nearby space. A small fleet of alien ships approaching at high speed. Elias's expression hardened. Pirates, mercenaries, or worse. They may be attracted to the colony's mining resources. We need to intercept them before they reach the planet. Lyra studied the incoming ships. They are unfamiliar, technologically advanced, but their tactics are predictable. If we can force them into a trap, we can neutralize the threat without direct combat.
Vela's grin widened. Sounds like a challenge.
Let's make them regret crossing our path. Elias felt a surge of pride.
These two, once bound to him only by law, were now partners in every sense of the word. Their abilities, combined with human ingenuity, created a force capable of overcoming threats far beyond what any single species could handle. They boarded the Orion Vanguard, engines humming as they intercepted the approaching fleet. The alien ships moved in formation, weapons ready. But Elias had already devised a plan. He guided the ship into a narrow asteroid field, using the debris as natural cover. Lyra calculated the precise angles and velocities to navigate the field at high speed, while Vela manipulated the ship's energy shields to deflect smaller projectiles. The alien fleet pursued, unaware of the trap. Elias lured them deeper into the asteroid belt, dodging collisions with skillful maneuvers. Suddenly, Vela activated a series of energy pulses, causing parts of the asteroid field to shift and collapse, blocking the alien ship's path. Lyra guided the Orion Vanguard through narrow gaps with pinpoint accuracy, keeping them safe while the enemy became trapped and disoriented. With the fleet contained, Elias and his companions launched a countermeasure. Using a combination of ship-mounted weapons and energy disruption techniques, they disabled the enemy vessels without causing permanent damage. The aliens, realizing defeat, retreated into the darkness of space. Back on the bridge, Elias exhaled, a mixture of relief and satisfaction washing over him.
That was close. Good work, both of you. What?
I think we've just saved another colony from disaster. Lyra nodded, her expression calm but proud.
We work well together. Strategy and intuition combined with decisive action. Humans and Arendorians make effective allies. Vela leaned back in her chair, a playful smile on her face. And don't forget the excitement. Space is boring if you don't have a little danger to spice things up. Elias chuckled. Boss! I'll keep that in mind. But remember, we're explorers and protectors, not just thrill seekers. There will be more challenges ahead, and we'll need every skill we have to face them. As they continued their journey through the stars, the bond between the trio grew stronger. Lyra and Vela, once bound to Elias only by law, now followed him willingly, inspired by his courage and leadership. Elias, in turn, respected their abilities and insight, recognizing that humans were not alone in their ingenuity. Together, they formed a team capable of facing the unknown and protecting those who could not protect themselves. For Elias, the lesson was clear. Heroism was not just about bravery, it was about collaboration, trust, and understanding. In the vast expanse of space, no one could succeed alone. Every decision mattered, every ally was precious, and every moment could be the difference between life and death. The Orion Vanguard sailed onward, its crew alert and ready for whatever awaited them. Lyra and Vela continued to explore the ship, learning from Elias while sharing their own knowledge. They discussed navigation techniques, energy manipulation, and engineering principles, each lesson reinforcing their bond. In return, they challenged Elias's assumptions, offering new perspectives that he had never considered. Through their teamwork, the trio faced danger, solved impossible problems, and discovered that the galaxy was both more dangerous and more wondrous than they had imagined. Each mission taught them something new, not only about the universe, but about each other. As the stars stretched endlessly ahead, Elias realized that saving Arendor was only the beginning. With Lyra and Vela at his side, he had companions who were brave, brilliant, and unafraid to confront the unknown. Together they would face challenges that tested their courage, intellect, and resolve. And no matter what lay ahead, Elias knew they would succeed not because of law or obligation, but because of trust, respect, and the bonds they had forged in the fires of danger. The journey had only just begun, but the promise of adventure burned brightly in their hearts. The galaxy was wide, full of mysteries and threats, but together they were unstoppable. And for Captain Elias Kane, Lyra, and Vela, there was no greater honor than exploring the stars and protecting those who could not protect themselves, forging a legacy of courage, ingenuity, and cooperation that would echo across the universe. The Orion Vanguard cruised silently through deep space, the stars stretching like endless diamonds across the black void. Captain Elias Kane sat in the command chair, staring at the star maps as his mind worked through their next course. Lyra and Vela were nearby, absorbed in their tasks. Lyra studied planetary readings on a holographic interface, while Vela examined the ship's energy systems, her fingers tracing the patterns of glowing conduits with focused intensity. "Elias," Lyra said, breaking the quiet. "There's a disturbance in the Nereid sector. Sensors detect an unfamiliar fleet moving at high speed."
Their ships are unlike any we've seen. Technology suggests they could pose a serious threat.
Elias narrowed his eyes. Hostile or just curious?
Lyra shook her head.
Unknown. They're advanced, fast, and highly coordinated.
Their movement suggests they are preparing for a tactical strike. I recommend we approach cautiously but remain ready for combat. Vela smirked. I like a challenge.
Let's see what they've got.
Elias allowed himself a small smile. He had faced dangerous foes before, but this felt different. Something about the fleet's movement suggested intelligence behind it, not chaos. The odds might be against them, but with Lyra and Vela at his side, he felt confident. Humans were clever, but together with their Arendorian allies, their combined ingenuity might turn the tide. The Orion Vanguard changed course, moving toward the Nereid sector at full speed. Sensors pinged warnings constantly as the alien fleet came into view. Sleek, dark ships glimmered with energy fields, weapons arrays bristling with sharp precision. The alien vessels moved in formation, anticipating the humans' maneuvers. Elias felt the familiar surge of adrenaline. This was no ordinary encounter. It was a test of wits, reflexes, and teamwork. Lyra analyzed the ship's formation patterns. Their fleet is heavily front-loaded. The lead ships control most of the offensive power, but the rear is lightly defended. If we can split their formation, we may gain the advantage.
Vela leaned over the navigation panel. Then let's do it.
I can manipulate our shields to create energy flares, forcing them to break formation. You just follow my lead, Elias.
Elias nodded. On your mark. The battle began with a silent tension, the Orion Vanguard weaving through the void with grace and precision.
Vela triggered a series of energy pulses, sending dazzling flares into the path of the alien ships. The enemy formation faltered, small gaps appearing between their vessels. Lyra guided Elias, calculating the precise angles to exploit these weaknesses. Elias felt the ship respond like an extension of his own body. He maneuvered through the gaps, narrowly avoiding energy blasts that could have torn the Vanguard apart. Vela worked at the shields, keeping the pulses steady, while Lyra monitored enemy movements, predicting their next attacks with uncanny accuracy. Together, they danced through the chaos of the battlefield, a trio of skill and ingenuity. Suddenly, the lead alien ship fired a concentrated energy beam, slicing through space toward the Vanguard. Elias reacted instantly, flipping the ship into a sharp, evasive maneuver. Vela projected an energy field to absorb the brunt of the blast, while Lyra adjusted the ship's power distribution to maintain optimal speed and stability.
That was too close, Elias muttered, adrenaline pumping. Lyra glanced at him calmly.
We anticipated it, but they will adapt. We must be ready for the next wave. Vela's grin widened.
Let them adapt. We'll be 2 steps ahead.
As the battle continued, Elias realized something critical. The aliens weren't merely attacking, they were testing them, probing their strategies, and learning from every move. Humans were clever, yes, but adaptability and creativity were what set them apart. He decided to use that advantage.
Lyra, analyze their energy signatures and predict their next maneuver, Elias commanded. Vela, prepare a diversion that can exploit any weakness we find.
I'll coordinate our counterattack.
The trio worked in perfect harmony. Lyra calculated trajectories and predicted enemy reactions, while Vela created controlled energy bursts to mislead and confuse the fleet. Elias coordinated every move, guiding the ship through a series of daring maneuvers that kept the aliens off balance. One by one, enemy ships found themselves trapped in patterns they could not escape. Despite their success, Elias knew the battle was far from over. The alien fleet adapted quickly, their formations becoming more complex, their attacks more precise. Each wave tested not only their skill but their trust in one another. In that trust, however, lay their greatest strength. Lyra's calm intelligence balanced Vela's bold instincts, and both amplified Elias's human ingenuity. Hours seemed to pass in the blink of an eye as they fought. Exhaustion crept in, but none of them faltered. The aliens were strong, but they were not prepared for a combination of human strategy and a Rindorian intuition. Slowly, Elias began to turn the tide. Enemy ships were forced to retreat or surrender, their attempts at tactical advantage nullified by the trio's coordination. Finally, the last wave of alien ships attempted to flee. Elias gave chase, not to destroy, but to disable. Using a combination of tractor beams and energy nets, the fleeing vessels were captured without loss of life. The battlefield fell silent. The stars reflected in the calm void, the Orion Vanguard moving smoothly among the remnants of what had been a dangerous fleet. Lyra exhaled, her hands finally resting from the calculations. We've neutralized the threat. All ships are disabled, but intact. Minimal casualties. Vela stretched, her face glowing with excitement. I knew we could do it.
That was incredible. Did you see that last move?
Pure genius, Elias. Elias smiled, a mix of pride and relief washing over him.
It wasn't just me.
We did it together. Humans, Arendorians working as a team. There's nothing we can't handle when we combine our strengths.
As the adrenaline faded, Elias considered the implications. The aliens had not attacked indiscriminately. They were calculating, intelligent, and adaptable.
If they had chosen to destroy, Arendor might have been in danger even before the storm. This encounter was a warning. The galaxy was filled with beings whose motives were unknown, whose power could rival entire worlds. Humans could survive, yes, but only through cooperation, ingenuity, and courage. Lyra approached the captain, her expression serious. Elias, this encounter proves something important. Even with advanced technology, the galaxy is unpredictable. Intelligence alone is not enough. Strategy, creativity, and trust are equally vital. You, as a human, demonstrate qualities that inspire loyalty and cooperation, not just fear or respect. That is rare.
Elias nodded thoughtfully. And you two, by choosing to act with skill and courage, have shown that cooperation across species is not only possible, it's essential.
Together, We are stronger than any single force out there. Vela leaned on the console, her playful grin returning.
So, does this mean we're unstoppable now? Elias chuckled. Unstoppable. Not quite, but we're ready for anything.
And that makes all the difference. The Orion Vanguard resumed its journey, carrying its crew toward unknown sectors of the galaxy. Elias knew they would encounter more threats, more challenges, and more mysteries. But for the first time, he felt truly confident in their ability to face them. Lyra and Vela were no longer simply companions bound by law. They were partners, equals in intellect, courage, and purpose. Over the following days, the trio worked together to analyze the disabled alien ships. Lyra's keen mind deciphered their technology, learning about energy systems, propulsion methods, and communication arrays. Vela experimented with the ship's shields, discovering ways to enhance the Orion Vanguard's defensive capabilities. Elias guided them, sharing human experience and tactical reasoning, while learning from their alien perspective. Through these efforts, the bonds between them deepened. Trust was no longer theoretical. It had been tested in battle and proven unbreakable. Respect was mutual, forged in the heat of action and solidified in the quiet moments of analysis and reflection. The law that had bound Lyra and Vela to Elias was no longer relevant. Their loyalty was freely given, based on admiration and shared purpose. One evening, as the ship glided past a distant nebula, Elias stood on the observation deck watching the stars swirl in colored clouds of gas and dust. Lyra joined him silently, her presence calm and reassuring. Vela appeared moments later, energetic as ever, leaning against the railing. "This view never gets old," Elias said. "No matter how many worlds we save or threats we face, the stars always remind me why we do this."
It is the unknown that drives exploration. And the unknown is where our skills are tested, and where we grow, and where we have the most fun. Come on, Elias. Let's see what other adventures are waiting for us.
Elias smiled, feeling a sense of purpose stronger than ever before.
Together they had faced storms, pirates, and alien fleets. Together they had proven that human ingenuity, combined with alien skill and intuition, could overcome almost any obstacle. The galaxy was vast, mysterious, and dangerous, but they were ready. And somewhere in the depths of space, unseen threats were stirring. But Captain Elias Kane, Lyra, and Vela were prepared. They would face whatever came next with courage, intelligence, and cooperation, forging a legacy that would resonate across the stars. The journey was far from over, and the greatest challenges were yet to come. But for now, they sailed onward, united as a team, ready to protect the innocent, explore the unknown, and prove that humanity, combined with the right allies, could accomplish anything, even in the far reaches of the galaxy. The Orion Vanguard glided silently toward the Arindor system, its engines humming a steady rhythm against the vast black of space. Captain Elias Kane sat in the command chair, reviewing reports from the colonies they had aided. Lyra and Vela moved around the bridge, preparing the ship for arrival. Though they had faced storms, alien fleets, and dangerous missions, Elias felt a sense of anticipation that this journey would mark a new chapter, not just for them, but for the galaxy. As they approached Arindor, the planet looked calm and vibrant from space. Its forests shimmered with green and gold under the light of distant stars. Lakes reflected the sky like mirrors, and cities glowed softly, untouched by disaster.
Elias felt the pang of pride. They had saved this world before, but now the stakes were different.
The alien fleets they had faced and the unstable moons they had stabilized were signs of a galaxy in flux. Every world needed protectors who could think, act, and adapt. Lyra approached the captain.
"Sensors indicate no immediate threats in the system.
However, there is a signal from the Planetary Council requesting our presence. They wish to honor us for the recent operations and for saving Arindor from the energy storm."
Vela's eyes sparkled. I like this part.
Everyone cheering for us, celebrating, maybe even fireworks.
Elias smiled. We've earned it in more ways than one.
But remember, the honor is not for us alone. It's for teamwork, courage, and the people we protect. The shuttle descended to Arendor's surface, carrying the trio to the council's great hall. The building was enormous, built with elegant curves and glowing pillars of crystal energy that reflected the natural beauty of the planet. Citizens of Arendor gathered in the streets, waving and cheering as the heroes approached. Lyra and Vela's families were there, their faces lit with relief and pride. The council elders greeted them with solemn respect.
Captain Kane, Lyra, Vela, said the chief elder, her voice echoing in the hall, you have shown unparalleled courage and skill.
By the law, your service to our people has been recognized. But more importantly, you have earned our trust, admiration, and friendship.
It was not just me. It was a joint effort.
Lyra and Vela are the true heroes as well. The council smiled, nodding.
Indeed. And that is why the law that bound you by duty is now replaced by choice.
You are free to continue your journeys together as equals, not as master and servant. Your bond is forged in respect, not obligation. Lyra and Vela exchanged glances, relief and pride in their expressions. They had entered Elias's service by law, but now their loyalty was theirs to give freely. Lyra spoke first. We choose to continue with you. Together, we can explore and protect more worlds. Your courage inspires us, Elias. Vela's grin returned, wide and playful. And I'm not done having fun. Adventure waits, and I want to be part of it. Elias felt a warmth in his chest. This was more than he could have hoped for. Their partnership was now genuine, built on trust, admiration, and shared purpose. Then it is decided. Together, we will face whatever the galaxy presents, not bound by law, but by choice.
After the ceremony, the trio walked through the streets of the capital, greeted by citizens whose lives they had saved.
Children waved small flags, elders smiled, and merchants offered gifts of rare minerals and vibrant flowers. The sight reminded Elias of why exploration and protection were so vital. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable, but it was also filled with beauty, wonder, and life worth protecting. Back aboard the Orion Vanguard, Elias reviewed their next mission plans. Reports of a distant colony under threat from a rogue asteroid field had reached them. Sensors indicated that without intervention, the colony could be wiped out within hours. Lyra and Vela prepared the ship's systems for a hyperspace jump, their movements precise and confident. "Ready for the next adventure?" Elias asked, looking at them both. Lyra nodded. "We are ready. Together we can solve any challenge." Vela stretched, eyes bright. "I was born ready. Let's see what the universe has for us next."
The ship jumped into hyperspace, leaving Arendor behind. As the stars streaked past, Elias reflected on the journey so far.
From the energy storm that threatened Arendor to stabilizing moons and facing alien fleets, each mission had tested their courage, intelligence, and unity. Every challenge had brought them closer together, forging a bond that transcended species, law, and expectation. Hours later, the Orion Vanguard emerged from hyperspace near the colony. The asteroid field loomed ahead, jagged and deadly, orbiting the planet with dangerous speed. The colony, a small settlement of miners and engineers, appeared vulnerable amidst the floating rocks. Elias took the command.
"Lyra, scan the asteroid trajectories. We need a path that will keep the colony safe." Lyra's fingers flew over the interface. "There is a narrow channel that we can use."
"I can calculate safe passages for the mining ships while you maneuver our craft to stabilize the larger asteroids." Vela activated the ship's energy projectors, creating temporary shields around the most dangerous asteroids. "We'll push them gently, keep them in line, and guide the miners through."
"Everyone will be safe if we work quickly." Elias piloted the ship through the field, careful but precise.
The first asteroids loomed large, threatening to crush any miscalculation. Lyra's calculations kept the channels clear. Vela's shields deflected errant rocks, and Elias guided the energy bursts to nudge the larger debris into stable orbits. The operation was tense. One misstep could destroy the colony, but the trio's coordination was flawless. Asteroids shifted, energy fields shimmered, and the mining ships moved through the gaps safely. Citizens watched from their small observation platforms, holding their breath as their lives depended on 3 individuals working in harmony. Finally, the last asteroid was guided into a safe trajectory. The colony erupted in cheers, and Elias allowed himself a rare moment of relief. Lyra and Vela exchanged smiles, their expressions full of pride.
"That was incredible," Elias said.
We saved another world, and we did it together. Lyra's voice was calm but firm.
We act best when we combine intelligence, instinct, and courage. Humans may have ingenuity, but together with a Rendorian insight, our potential is limitless.
I'd say that makes us unstoppable. What's next, Captain? Elias looked out at the stars, considering the possibilities.
"The galaxy is vast. There will be more threats, more challenges, and more mysteries to solve.
But I know one thing. Together, we can face anything." As the Orion Vanguard lifted off from the colony, Elias felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He had saved worlds, fought off enemies, and formed bonds that transcended law and expectation. Lyra and Vela were no longer bound to him. They chose to follow him because they respected his courage, his ingenuity, and his commitment to protecting others. The journey ahead would be filled with dangers, from rogue fleets to unstable planets, from cosmic anomalies to civilizations. But Elias, Lyra, and Vela were ready. Together they represented the best of humanity and Arendorian skill, a partnership that could overcome even the most formidable challenges. In the quiet moments of space travel, the 3 of them would study star charts, exchange knowledge, and plan strategies. They would learn from one another, growing stronger and wiser with every mission. And through it all, they would remain united. Not by law, not by obligation, but by choice, respect, and shared purpose. As the stars stretched endlessly before them, Elias allowed himself a moment of reflection. He thought of the energy storm that had threatened Arendor, the lives that had hung in the balance, and the courage and skill that had carried them through. He thought of Lyra and Vela, not as subjects bound by law, but as equals and partners. And he thought of the countless worlds that still needed protection, knowing that they would face them together. The galaxy was vast and unpredictable, but it was also filled with wonder, beauty, and hope. Humans had always been adaptable, courageous, and resourceful, but with allies like Lyra and Vela, those qualities shone brighter than ever. They would continue to explore, protect, and inspire, proving that humanity's ingenuity was not limited to a single planet. It could reach across the stars. The Orion Vanguard accelerated into the deep expanse, carrying its crew toward new adventures, new challenges, and new triumphs. Captain Elias Kane, Lyra, and Vela knew that whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. And as they sailed into the unknown, they became more than heroes. They became a symbol of hope, courage, and cooperation for all who dwelled among the stars. The galaxy awaited them, endless in its mysteries and possibilities. And the 3 of them, united by trust, skill, and choice, were ready to meet it head-on, proving that the spirit of exploration, bravery, and unity could overcome any obstacle. And so the journey continued, not as master and servants, not as law-bound companions, but as equals, partners, and guardians of the worlds they had vowed to protect. The stars shone bright ahead, and for the first time in a long while, Elias knew that no matter what dangers came, they would face them together, and they would prevail.